Hi, I'm Lucy Shrimpton, mother of two, founder of the Sleep Nanny and author of the Sleep Nanny System. Myself and my certified Sleep Nanny consultants help families all over the world to bring the joy back to parenting rather than walking around as in a sleep-deprived blur. So let's have a little look at the correlation between milk and sleep. We know that babies and young children like their milk, and lots of babies have milk in the night. But what's the truth around milk and sleep? What's the correlation? Is there anything in that? Well, first of all, let me point out that feeding is vital. It's more important than sleep. So making sure that your baby is getting enough to eat is absolutely imperative. You should never not feed your child as any kind of means to get them to sleep longer, and actually it probably wouldn't work anyway. That said, there are lots of myths around feeding and sleep. Lots of myths where people think that if they tank their child up, give them lots of extra milk, or even thicken the milk up somehow, that means their baby will sleep longer. And that's just not true. If anything, you might cause indigestion problems, which could cause more disturbed sleep and pain. So that's a myth. The other one is the formula breast milk argument. People say, oh, formula-fed babies just sleep better than breastfed babies. Again, it's actually a myth because there's absolutely no reason why a breastfed baby can't sleep just as well as a formula-fed baby. The reason I think that myth exists is because formula milk does take longer to digest than breast milk. And therefore, in some cases, a baby might have a longer stretch of sleep because it's longer before they're next hungry. However, that's a baby who isn't waking up anyway. You know, they're waking because they're hungry, which is fair enough. But if a baby is waking anyway, and it's not really because of hunger, that's going to happen regardless of whether they're formula fed or breastfed. And likewise, a breastfed baby that's skilled in sleep isn't going to wake up for any other reason other than hunger. So it's not as simple as feed them formula, they sleep better. That's a myth. So what about these night wakings and feeding? And people say, when should I expect my baby to sleep through the night without needing milk in the night? And the answer really is different for everybody. I've seen babies ready to go through the night without milk from as young as 3 months, and others that aren't ready until closer to 1 year. So it really can be quite a large window. But usually by about 6 months, you can be pretty sure that you're probably close to that path. Have a think about what your child is actually waking for, because it's often misunderstood that a baby's waking because they're hungry. I see so many parents saying they wake up for a feed X number of times a night, and when you actually dig a little deeper, you find that no, the baby wakes up, yes, not for a feed. That's not why they're waking. Maybe it's 1 time or 2 times in the night, but the rest of the time they're not hungry. So just because a baby wakes up in the night doesn't automatically mean that it's hunger. And as parents, it can be so easy to get caught up in that reaction, the reactive response of baby's awake, baby's woken up, feed. It's a knee-jerk, baby's awake, feed. And it just becomes a response. And before you know it, your response to every waking is to feed, and that's what puts the baby back to sleep. Of course, that's then what they expect. Whether they need it or not, it's just what they expect, and they have an association. Oh yes, I do that thing, it's called feeding, and then I go back to sleep. And that's just a learned habit. But they're not actually learning any skill there. They're not actually learning how to get themselves to sleep, because the feeding is doing it for them. Some parents do spot it and go, yeah, I know it's not hunger. I know it's not. Maybe there's 1 feed in the night where it is hunger, but the rest of the time I know it's not hunger, it's just comfort. And we see babies all the time who pacify on the breast or the bottle. They are literally using it as a pacifier and a means to get back to sleep because it's all they know. And that's absolutely understandable in the early weeks, but when you're sort of coming up to 4, 5, 6 months and beyond, it's good to move away from that pacifying instead of helping them learn to fall asleep. Feed when they're hungry, absolutely, but not feeding to sleep. So parents say, yeah, I know that it's not hunger, I know it's just comfort, but I don't know what to do. And that's the golden ticket, really. They don't know what else to do, so they just keep doing it. Because after all, we all need our sleep. And when it comes to sort of 4 o'clock, 5 in the morning, we will do anything to not be disturbed. We will do anything to get back to sleep and just finish off our night. So it's completely understandable why so many parents get stuck in that feeding to sleep rut, basically. So what can you do instead? You can help your little one learn how to fall asleep without the milk doing it for them. So if you believe that milk is your child's sleep reliance, work out how hungry they are, feed them, and at bedtime, let them have that last milk feed, have that feed, let them finish the feed awake, and then put your baby down. And you might think, put them down awake? They're going to scream. That's where you then need to bring in your soothing and reassurance to help them settle. You know they're fed, you know they're dry, you know they're happy and comfortable, so you're then going to reassure and help them to fall asleep. Then when it comes to that night waking and you know it's not hunger, instead of bringing a feed, you bring your soothing and reassuring techniques that they will then recognize and start to go, ah, yes, we did this at bedtime, I know what to do, and gradually they'll learn what to do. If you do feed in the night, if you have a wake up and you go, yeah, this one's hunger, I know this is hunger, I'm going to feed your baby, let them have the milk, again, but stay awake. So you don't feed them to sleep, you feed them, tick the hunger box, and then you have a sleepy but awake baby. Put your baby down, help them, soothe them, reassure them. They might need a few pickups, they might need a few cuddles, that's fine. But you're not letting that milk feeding put your baby to sleep. And if you respond consistently like that, and you might think, oh, it's going to be exhausting, I'm going to be up all night trying to soothe my baby. You won't be, but even if it is hard work, it's not for very long. And then your baby has a skill that's going to mean you and your baby get so much more quality sleep, which is going to be better for your health and well-being and happiness all round. And even if it is hard work for a few nights, isn't that better than months and months, if not years, of sleep deprivation for both of you? I think it probably is. So how is milk playing a role in your child's life? How is milk present in your baby or young child's life? Is it being used to replenish them? Is it being used for hunger reasons? Or is it being used as a sneaky little sleep trick? If you have a think about that, and you've given you the tools now, you can work on that and really separate the milk and the sleep as two separate things.